Good afternoon.
Welcome to our March Trusted Campus. We're so delighted to be here. And today we have a tremendous speaker who's going to talk to us about the subject of women in business. We're always so grateful. We've had such great speakers. We want to thank Mr. Roy Quick for that excellent presentation in February on networking. Let's give Roy a big hand. We appreciate that, Roy. And thank you so much for coming out. And so we're very excited. Our speaker today is going to be Mrs. T. Way. She is the Vice President of the Shepherd's Guide of Greater Washington, Maryland, Virginia. And we are so excited. She is a part of the Trusted Campus. She is the co-president of the Trusted Campus here in the Greater Washington, D.C., Maryland area. And she is an entrepreneur. She is a pastor. She is a motivational speaker. She is the founder and president of White for Life Ministries, and it is a ministry that ministers to married women all around the world. We're very excited, and we lift her in prayer. She's preparing for her next ministry trip to Toronto, Canada, and in Toronto she'll be ministering and encouraging and empowering wives to be the best that they can be. And she is a phenomenal wife. We've been married for 34 years. And I'm just so proud of her and our 3 children. And so we've done almost everything together. And I'm sure you're going to be blessed. She's funny, she's witty, and full of godly wisdom. And so it is with that I'd like to introduce, would you give a warm welcome to Mrs. T. Way.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Trusted Campus. This is March Madness, and it is also Women in Business Month. So we are really excited about everyone being here today. Terry's going to be passing out our working women in the Bible and some other information that I'm sure you're going to be thrilled about. How many know women have always worked? Not a big deal. Women have always worked. And one thing that I noted about when women work and while they're working, where did they get their work ethic from? And it seems like to me the only person they learned how to work from was Adam. Because when he was in the garden, he worked. And so she watched Adam work and she joined in. So women have always worked. So the thing about women working and women not working is kind of like an oxymoron. Like if you turn to your page, it says right here, the phrase working mother is redundant. Working and mother is redundant. They all go together, working and mother. But we're going to talk, they all go together. It's like, it's crazy. It's absolutely, if you're a mother and even if you don't go out the house, you're always working. But women who are working, the statistics are really phenomenal about women in business and women-owned business and women who are now entrepreneurs. That field is wide open. There's no discrimination. Of course, there's still a disparity in how much we make, but I'm going to encourage you with something really great toward the end of this about the disparity and how much we make. But let's look at working women of the Bible. Since we've been working forever, I think that's a great place to start. And as we look at working women in the Bible, we see the first one is the Proverb 31 woman. And when you look at Proverbs 31, you see a whole plethora of what women can do, or what women have been doing since the very beginning. And the first one we see is that she was a real estate broker. Okay, she considers a field. Proverbs 31:16 says, she considers a field and buys it. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard. So when you look at that one, she has always been wheeling and dealing and making deals and always been out there. So there you go. That's right, Dawn. Woo-hoo! Women have always been out making so many great things, and that's really important to understand and to realize that we have already been there. Some other ones I wanted just to pick out, but if you ever look at Proverbs 31, look at it from a different perspective. When you go to verse 20, she reaches out to the poor and extends mercy to those in need. She's a social worker. She's a social worker, so social worker has already been there. Verse 22 in Proverbs 31, she makes her own bed linens and clothes herself in purple and cloths. She was a clothes designer. So she's already made her, she was a tailor, she made her own clothes. Verse 24, she makes linen garments and sells them in the market, and she supplies belts for tradesmen to carry across the sea. She had her own clothing store. So women, we have always been in business, always. When we look at Lydia in Acts chapter 16 and verse 14, she was a wealthy businesswoman. Lydia, a woman named Lydia from the city of Thyatira, a seller of purple fabrics, a worshiper of God, was listening, and the Lord opened her heart to respond to things spoken by Paul. So even some wealthy women worked. Lydia was a wealthy businesswoman. She was engaged in the lucrative trade of dealing with purple cloth. The purple dye was rare, and the dye cloth was very expensive. Only the most elite and richest people wore purple clothes. So the cloth was a symbol of power and prestige. So Lydia was a wealthy businesswoman, and we know that Jesus had many women who supplied everything that he needed while he was ministering in the earth. We have Ruth. So we have the upper class, we have the middle class, we have line workers, we have, people like Ruth, who was just a field worker. But because of her humility, it brought her great wealth in the end. She was willing to do some things. How many of you know that you have to be willing to do some of the menial things to get to the greater things in life? And Ruth was one of them. She was willing to go out and work for her and her mother-in-law and Naomi when they lost both of their husbands, and she was a field worker. But guess what? Boaz took notice of Ruth, and because of that, Ruth became a very wealthy woman because her husband owned a lot of land. So we see women were mill grinders. Look at Matthew 24 and 41. Two will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken and one will left. Well, that's concerning the rapture, but at least we know they'll be working even as the rapture will be coming. We look at number 5, Rachel. Rachel was a shepherdess. Genesis 29:9, while he was speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. So you look at women, we think women have to be inside. She was outside. So women are inside, they're outside, they're doing many great things. Priscilla and Aquila, they were artisans, they were skilled workers, they were tent makers. She also made tents with her husband Aquila. We know in number 7, they were midwives. The king of Egypt, that was a really big deal. There were no hospitals back then, so we know midwives are in. They're still in. As a matter of fact, there's a whole big surge going back to midwives. A lot of people are having a lot of in-home births now. They don't want to go to the hospitals. They have a whole lot of statistics say around most cesareans are performed at between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. because that's when the shift changes and most doctors want to go home.
Oh, wow.
Big statistic on how many cesareans are performed at dinner time, because everybody wants to get out. So that's really kind of crazy. But yeah, so that's why a lot of people are kind of running back home now and trying to do. And a lot of laws have to be passed now because people want to go back to being a midwife. And have them come to their homes. And I know Maryland had to change some of their laws because at one time it was illegal to have your child at home.
Wow. You
had to go unless you just couldn't make it there to the hospital, it was illegal. You had to go to a hospital to have a baby. So midwives are really in, and they're really important, but they've been since Bible time. And we also know that there have always been nurses in the Bible. Genesis 35:8, now Deborah, Rebecca's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel under the oak. And so nurses are very, and even today, nurses play a prominent part. If there were not any nurses, there would be no doctors.
Right.
Because the nurses are the ones that do all the wonderful things before the doctor even comes in. You have a wonderful nurse. Oh, and this one I thought was hilarious. Turn the page to number 9, professional mourners.
Yeah.
That was a job.
Wow.
Professional mourners was a job. Jeremiah 9:17, thus says the Lord of hosts, consider and call for the mourning women that they may come, and send for the wailing women that they may come. So they actually hired people to mourn. So I wonder how that would work in today's society. I guess if nobody comes to your funeral, you kind of start hiring people to come. And number 10, we have Phoebe. She was a patron. And a patron is a person who gives you financial support. She was an influential public role that wealthy women could hold in the 1st century. Lydia appears to have been a patron or a benefactor. Phoebe was almost certainly a patron. So when we think about people who are wealthy and how they want to give their money into the kingdom, women have Oprah Winfrey is not the first. There was somebody before Oprah, and there was Phoebe, and there was Lydia, and there were many people who supported Jesus Christ ministries, and many of the apostles, they had women who financed them, and so it's in style, and we're going to be able to do it, okay? Yes. Okay, before there was a Supreme Court justice, there was Deborah the judge.
All right, Judge Judy.
All right, and then there's Judge Judy, okay? Now, Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at that time. She used to sit under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the sons of Israel came up to her for judgment. So we held very prominent roles, very prominent positions.
Yes.
And it's amazing how time changed, because when you think about in the 1800s, when the suffrage movement really came alive for women equal rights in working, and I kind of wonder what happened between Bible times and when we come up to the 1800s, where women really started fighting for equal rights and not staying home and voting. And I'm like, but we've been working the whole time. So that would be really something if somebody who's very research oriented and studious oriented to find out what happened between biblical times in the 1800s, where women, like literally, it came to a halt as far as being able to vote, being able to work outside the home, being able to do other jobs besides being a teacher and a nurse. So that's really interesting, because here we have builders, and we have judges, and we have patrons, and we have all these other things. So in our last one, which was really interesting, I am like the fact lady, the facts. And I love like different ideals and different things that you can find in the Bible, especially the little things that people don't really do. But there's a woman named Shira, number 12, Shira. Yes, there's a Shira. There's a Shira. She was a daughter of Ephraim. And that's found in 1 Chronicles 7:24. His daughter was Shira, who built Lower and Upper Beth Horon, also Uzid Shira.
They stole it from the Bible.
So when you think about, she was a builder. They said she literally built a town. Wow. Mm-hmm. So here's an architect, here's a construction worker, here's all of these things. So women, we have been doing great things for a long time. So come on, give the women a great big hand. You all are awesome. So don't lose hope. So let's go to the top 10 richest self-made women in America. The top 10. And the reason why they're self-made, because they did not get an inheritance. Mm-hmm. These are people who start from scratch. These are women who started their business from scratch, and they understand what it is, the blood, sweat, and tears of putting behind starting a business. And the number one was, and these are people who, some of them I haven't even heard of, but Elizabeth Holmes. Not only is she number one, she is the youngest. She is worth $4.5 billion of the Theranos Company. Let me tell you what the Theranos Company is. The Theranos Company is the list of richest women entrepreneurs in the U.S. includes Diane. There's some other ones, and let me go down to where she does. She is the youngest is Elizabeth Holmes, who founded a blood testing company, Theranos, in 2013.
What? Never heard of that.
2013.
That's just 3 years.
Right.
The youngest woman on the list at the top spot is Elizabeth Holmes, who founded a blood testing company, Theranos, in 2013 after dropping out of Stanford.
Well, wow.
Interestingly, after dropping out of Stanford, now she has a blood testing company, and that is just huge. Wow. So she's making $4.5 billion. Number 2 is Diane Hendricks. She is co-founder and chairman of ABC Supply Company, which is $3.7 billion. So they do supplies. Doris Fisher, co-founder of Gap. Jen Suk Chang, Forever 21. Everybody shops at Forever 21. She's number 3 on the list. She's number 4 on the list. Oprah got bumped.
Wow.
She's number 5. Oprah has $3 billion. I'll get bucked for $3 billion. Hey. Judy Faulkner, founder and CEO of Epic Systems. That's a healthcare software. So we know healthcare software is really, really in. Jonelle Hunt, co-founder of JB Hunt Transport Services. Have you ever seen those big trucks with Hunt?
Big trucks.
The big trucks, yep. Her and her husband started JB Hunt Transport Services. And number 8 is Judy Love. Well, I think Judy and Jonelle both had 7. So that's what it was. I just happened to put number 8. But Jonelle Hunt and Judy Love, as you can see, they both had $2.4 billion. So she's co-founder of Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. You ever been driving down south?
Oh, yeah.
You see Love's Country
So it's
Stores?
a real person's name.
Yeah. Love's Country Stores. There's travel stops you can go in.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, and so she's at $2.4 billion. And Marion Lilch, co-founder of Little Caesars, made it.
Wow.
Pizza, not Pizza Hut, not Papa John's.
Pizza.
Little Caesars. Isn't that amazing? Like, who likes Little Caesars? Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. Little Caesars. And number 10.
A lot of these companies, I didn't know they were woman-owned. So you just
Yeah.
You guys are brilliant.
And,
Hey, man, we are.
and number 10 is Meg Whitman, and she is CEO of Hewlett Packard.
Oh, yeah.
So come on, y'all got to give yourself another big hand. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, that is just truly, truly amazing. So we also have, Erin Osmond, chair of Sierra Nevada, the biggest female-owned federal contractor in the U.S. Pleasant Rowland, creator of American Girl dolls. And so we have so many awesome women. And I just wanted to encourage you guys today to don't give up on your dreams. Because another one of mine, if you look at the other one, it says, Oprah says, create the highest, the grandest vision possible for your life because you become what you believe. Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because you become what you believe. And I just love that. And so I got these so you all can hang these up on your walls and encourage yourself. And we have our fact sheet of women-owned businesses. It's really amazing. So you all can go over those. That's from the Census Bureau as of 2012, and they probably could have some newer ones out. There are 9,878,397 women-owned businesses in the United States. That is an increase of 2 million businesses, or 26.8% from 2007. So women-owned businesses are really growing. And what is considered a woman-owned business? 51% of the business has to be owned by a woman.
Wow.
51%. That is considered a business owned, a woman owned business at 51%. I have some great statistics I'm just going to run through you real quick, and they're not on this list, but that's just for you to go over. 20 of the 50 women on the list are from California. So there was a list of 50, I only took the top 10. But 20 on the list are from California, 8 are from New York, while 15 were born outside of the U.S. Okay. Erin Osmond ranks at number 19. She's the chairman of Sierra Nevada, which is the biggest female-owned federal contractor in the United States. Okay, it is amazing what women are doing. It is amazing. It is amazing what women are doing, and I'm so glad they're having a chance to do this. For this whole month of March is Women in Business Month. So let me give you some great. I love statistics. Surprising facts about female founders. Facts about female founders starting companies. Women start companies at 1.5 times the average rate in the United States. The absolute number of startups in Crunchbase with at least one female founder has more than quadrupled in the last 5 years.
Wow.
Women entrepreneurs in the United States rank their happiness at nearly 3 times that of women who are not entrepreneurs. So we are happy people. Today, 18% of all startups have at least one female founder. There are just over 9 million women-owned companies in the United States. Guess what? Brooklyn, New York banks more female startups than any other single city in the United States. Brooklyn, New York. Las Vegas has the honor of the highest percentage of venture-backed companies with at least one female founder. The cities with the shrimpiest numbers of female founders by percentage are Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, and San Jose, California. Wow. Okay. They're not as many. They're the shrimpiest. As they would say, they're the shrimpiest. Okay. In the United States, the frontiers of the fastest growth in raw numbers of companies founded by women in order are North Dakota, Wyoming, D.C., Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada. So D.C. is a good place if you're a woman to start a business. That's cool. That's cool. A new net 340,000 jobs were added by women-owned businesses. 340,000 jobs were added by women-owned businesses between 2007 and 2015. Okay, no matter which crowdfunding platform they chose, female founders perform equal to or better than their male counterparts when raising money online. But guess what? Men do it better raising in person. Isn't that amazing? Women raise more money online with crowdfunding than men do. But men do it better in person because it's always been, you know, the good old boy, let's go golfing, let's go thing. So men do it better in person, but we do it better online. I thought that was very interesting. That's very interesting. Facts on performance and women entrepreneurs. Among the most successful companies, men start their businesses with 6 times as much capital as women do, according to the most recent National Women Business Council annual report. Okay, so men have more, they get more startup money than we do. And that's understandable. 46% of the privately held companies in the U.S. are now at least half owned by women. So with that, all that greatness that I just told you, we're still behind in a lot of the numbers. We're still behind, but we're catching up. But what I thought was so interesting was, as I was saying about women businesses and women starting up and women owning things, one thing that came to mind was the story that was in the Bible about Zelophehad. He had 5 daughters, and this is found in Numbers chapters 27. And they could, because their dad died, they could not receive their inheritance because they were women. So they went to Moses, and Moses, they said, look, Dad was not part of Korah's rebellion. So please, we didn't have anything to do with all that craziness, so can we have our father's possession? So they went to Moses, and Moses went to the Lord and prayed, God, what should I do? God said, it is right. Give the women their possession. Let them have their dad's inheritance. And because of that, today, God will change the whole system for women. I just want you all to be encouraged today that because of 5 women's request, 5 is the number of grace, because 5 women went before the man of God and said, can we do? Israel now, all women now from then on were able to get their father's inheritance if their fathers did not have any males in the family. So it is awesome how, while many people are protesting and many people are petitioning, how God is telling us, even as women, if you have something that you think is your portion, go to God in prayer. God, I want my portion. I want my portion of business. I want my portion. I heard some great news today, and I know I can possess the land. Lord, you have no respect of person, that you can give it to males as well as females. And I know there has been a lot of, I know President Obama just signed a law, I think the Lilly Ledbetter law, that women and men have to try to, if they find out that there's inequality in pay, that they have 180 days or something like that to kind of bump the woman up to where. But I thought this was so awesome because there was no law in effect, but God still cares about what we want to do in life as women. And it was really important to these 5 women that they did not lose it to a next of kin because they were female, and that God really cares and he's really concerned about where we are in our businesses. Because to have land in the Bible days was to have a business. That's where you had your agriculture, that's where you had your farming. So God is really concerned about women-owned businesses. So his 5 daughters, as they petitioned the man of God, Moses enacted a whole new law. God will shift a system for women. He'll put anything into play. He'll put anything we need because he understands that we are out here and we're making a living and that not every woman is married. And that there are circumstances that happen. You could become a widow. You could never marry. Whatever happens, I'm here to encourage all of you guys today, wherever you are. If you're on the married end of it, if you're on the divorce end, if you're on the widow end, if you're on the non-married, that wherever you are, God is concerned about your business. God is concerned about where you are, and he is just loving on you, and he is making provision for you and everywhere you are. So please, when you get a chance, go home. By all means, read Numbers 27 and read about what God wants to do on your behalf. You can also find that in Numbers 36. But God wanted those women to know that even though your father is gone, because for many women in the Old Testament, that meant to be destitute.
Yeah.
If you did not have a male heir or a male person in your life, that really meant that could have been devastating for these 5 sisters. But because they bound themselves together and they did everything in decency and in order. I'm looking at everything, how everything is just like going like wacko now, and people don't want to use proper channels. But it wasn't a petition of a protest, but it was a petition to prayer that they went before the man of God. And the Lord gave Moses a direct answer. Immediately God says yes. And I want you all to be encouraged today that God is saying yes over you today. He's saying yes over your life. He's saying yes over your business plan. He's saying yes over everything that you want to do for him. So I hope you all enjoyed this presentation this afternoon. And I love this one. I have another one. They tried to bury me but didn't realize I wasn't seen.
I love it.
Success isn't about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives.
Yes.
And I love this one by Eleanor Roosevelt, and I'll leave on that one. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Blessings to you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, what say ye?
Real good in 30 minutes.
Wow. Come on, let's give another strong hand. Way. That was fantastic. I am so grateful for that powerful presentation. And I learned so much. And we are so grateful. Isn't the Trusted Compass better because of presentations like this?
Amen.
So, thank you again. Thank you again, T. That was fantastic. And I like all of the quotes. I like the one on top. Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. And truly, that is the resonant message. This could almost be the trademark statement for the Trusted Compass. You become what you believe. And we've come out here today to celebrate our businesses, to celebrate the opportunity and the honor of networking. And so now we're going to turn it back over to Mrs. T to conduct the next portion of our meeting. Thank you so much for coming out. This has been fantastic. And for the men here, I think we have a deeper appreciation for God's intent for our sisters in the Bible. To see that they were builders, and they were lawyers, and they were judges, and that they did everything. They were realtors and investors. They did everything, and that God is pleased. And I think our posture should be, let's do everything to pray for our sisters in Christ. Because all of you here today, you are my sister. And I want for you what I want for myself. For God's blessing to be upon all of you. So let's raise our hand toward Ms. T. Lord, we just thank you for that beautiful presentation. Thank you for using this powerful woman to share powerful principles and concepts. And may all of us, men and women, go forth and pray for all the women in our lives, even our daughters and granddaughters, that they will become strong biblical women and will bring you glory. And thank you for this trusted compass again. Thank you for using T, and bless her even as she presents tomorrow. We ask these blessings in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So T, I don't want to overwork you, but
Oh yeah, I'm overworked.